Masechet Hagigah, PEREK Bet, MISHNAH Zayin. Birdei Am Haaretz Midras Lefrushin. The clothing of an Am Haaretz person who doesn't know halachot well, his clothing is considered a midras. Midras is an avatuma from a person who touched a item, who used an item, stood on an item, who's a zav, zavan, nida. Anybody who's an avatuma on something, that thing is called midras, and if it touches something else, it becomes a rishon. So if someone touches an Am Haaretz's item, the perush, a perush guy, who's someone who's careful, if he touches an Am Haaretz's item, clothing, he can assume it's a tumat rishon. Birdei perushin midras laochle teruma. Perush clothing, a person who's careful's clothing, is assumed to be a midras, a tamer rishon now, for someone who's eating teruma, a kohen. Birdei ochle teruma to midras kodesh. A person who's eating kodesh, a person who's eating kodesh can assume that the clothing of a kohen is midras for him. Yani, every level above, you have to be careful. Bichdei kodesh, the person who's eating kodesh, the meats, midras lahatat, even his clothing is considered a midras for the meh hatat, the ashes of the hatat. Yosef ben Yair hasish b'kunai. Yosef ben Yair was a hasid in the kunai. He was very careful, and still v'haitam mitpachto midras lakodesh. His cloth was a midras for kodesh. Yochanan ben Gudgadiah haya ochel al tarat hakodesh l'koyma. And Yochanan was also very careful. He would eat as if he was kodesh then always, and still v'haitam mitpachto midras lahatat, even though his cloth was also considered midras for meh hatat. So we see that the stringencies are always kept no matter who you are. PEREK Rima, MISHNAH Aleph. Homer b'kodesh mivat truma. Kodesh is more chamor betruma because matbalin kilim betoch kilim truma v'lo lakodesh. Truma, you can put one kli into another while putting in the mikveh, but kodesh you can't. Ahoraim betoch ubeta tzivita betruma v'lo lakodesh. The different parts of the utensil, the bottom, the inside, the handle, are considered separate pieces in teruma. So if one piece becomes tameh, the whole thing does not become tameh, only that piece. But kodesh is not like that. Kodesh, the whole thing becomes tameh. Hanoseta midras noseta teruma. Someone who's holding midras can also carry teruma in a different hand. Avalo kodesh ben kodesh. Birdei ochle teruma midras kodesh. We said this earlier as well, that the clothing of a person who's eating teruma is assumed to be midras for the next level of kodesh. And the last stringency regarding kodesh is lo k'midat kodesh midat teruma. Kodesh, the measure of clothing, kodesh is not like teruma, because why? Sheba kodesh matir u'menarev u'matbil b'achach kosher. And regarding to dipping kodesh items, in order to become tahor, you have to untie any knots, dry off if it's wet, and then you have to dip it, and then you could retie the knots. Otherwise, it's considered hatzitza, a break in between, and therefore it doesn't work. But teruma, kosher b'achach matbil, you could have it tied, you could tie the knots beforehand, and obviously it could be wet, etc. It doesn't make a difference, it's not considered hatzitzot.